two people with great experience in the area. It's great experience. We have Jacek, that is a senior scientist at Philips Research. I would say I love this area because my background is life sciences, so I love that area. And we have Gilberto, who is currently number one on Kaggle. Everyone wants to be number one on Kaggle, so it will be great to have this opposition from a really regulated side of research and a more competitive side to be the first to have the best answer. There's going to be a difference. So the first question is the standard one. How did you start in data science, and what sparked your interest in the area, and what still keeps you interested in this area?
Okay, I can start. Actually, I started data science a long time ago, in 1998, when I tried build a first image classifier model to classify digits using C language, and it didn't work. I had no knowledge about data science at that time, but after that, I graduated in electronics. I finished my master's in electrical engineering also, and only in 2011, I joined a Google AI competition, and it lights a sparkle in me that made me search for more about data science and artificial intelligence. After that Google AI challenge, I searched for another ways to compete, and I found the Kaggle website. And I can say most of my experience comes from Kaggle. I've been competing on Kaggle for 6 years. I compete more than 120 competitions, most diverse kind of problems I solved in Kaggle, or at least I tried to solve. So my professional experience I have working for Petrobras, Airbnb, and Oppo. So basically, Kaggle helped me a lot. Yeah.
And how about you, Jacek?
For me, my first contact with AI algorithms was actually on my first job. I had a colleague working on a segmentation algorithm, and then it was for me fascinating that we could add features and improve that. So that was like my very first contact, but I didn't really stick to that. So afterwards I joined Philips, and I had more of an image processing background, and I was doing a classic image and signal processing. And then I recall, it was like maybe 8 years ago, a colleague who was also working on image processing, getting out of a management meeting, complaining that management doesn't understand image processing. And what he said really struck me at that time, because he said, to make an image processing algorithm, you need to be able to explain every step of it like if you were explaining it to a baby. And then I was thinking to myself, that is really not the case. You can develop a model without really fully understanding yourself, and without really yourself defining all the steps. And that at that time triggered me to apply more and more machine learning approaches to the various problems that we were facing. And I think that was like the trigger to apply it more and more.
The big spark, we might say.
I would say so, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you both have a lot of experience in the area, we know that we cannot predict the future, but what do you think that the future of data science and all the data science sphere in general might be in 5 to 10 years?
That's an interesting question. I believe data science, actually I believe machine learning will spread for all regular people, not only data scientists, like when spreadsheets comes to the market, like Microsoft, Excel, and some other, all the regular people start to learn how to use it. I think it's the case of the machine learning. Everybody is going to learn how to use machine learning. It's going to be a usual tool anyone can use for predict like your expenses for the next year, maybe your maintenance for your car for the next year. Everything is about data in the future, right? We are collecting data every second of our lives. Even at that moment, probably Google is collecting some data about me, where I am, what I'm doing, I don't know, maybe what I'm speaking right now. But yeah, everything's about data. So I believe in the future, in the near future, like 5, 10 years, right?
So a small shop owner will be able to have tools to predict the sales for next year? Or?
Sure.
And maybe know his customers better? Nowadays, a small shop owner is like, oh, I know this customer, but I really do not have data.
Yeah.
That's an interesting view. So what do you think?
For me, I fully agree with everything that you said. I will build up on top of that for the healthcare area, where I believe that it can really fundamentally change the way healthcare is done. That we will be able to generate more and more hypotheses from the data, and with that be able to personalize healthcare more and more to individual patients. So not having population-based models which are then translated into individual decisions, but really having very personalized decisions. That is the direction I believe that data science will make a difference in the healthcare field.
So maybe a more specialized question, but what do you think it will happen with the more rare diseases? Nowadays we have barely any data in the rare diseases because they're rare.
Mm-hmm.
And it always leaves me curious that people say that, oh, data science will help cure these rare diseases. I'm like, we have no data. So how the hell we can use it?
Step by step. First thing is first responsibility as data scientists is also be able to provide tools to physicians that are useful. We can dream very high right now, but if we take too big step, we will just scare them off and nothing will happen. We need to provide tools step by step, as simple as they are, that they are useful for them. And as we do that, we will also be able to tap into the data sources and also have an influence on how that data is acquired. And we can start for diseases that are extremely common, but once we start getting that big data acquired in that net, we will also get a lot of rare diseases, and we will get a lot of peculiar disease combinations that nowadays we have no ability to study. So the scaling up of it will really enable us to capture those rare cases and actually have enough data to study them, which right now we don't.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot of data scientists that work in this area say that the more globalized you have healthcare data, the more those diseases will cease to be rare, because it's rare if you have 3 people in a country, maybe you're gonna have quite a few if you join all the countries.
Yes. Having that said, you also have to be careful on how you combine that data. Different regions of the world in terms of healthcare are conditioned completely differently. The incidence of prostate cancer in Japan is completely different from the incidence of prostate cancer in Europe or in the US. Same goes for lung cancer, completely different incidence in China than in Europe. And there are a lot of environmental factors and genetic factors leading to that. So it's also, when combining data, we need to be careful that we also combine it in the right way.
Before moving on, I believe that Gilberto, you have, in those kind of competitions, you have dealt with a lot of healthcare data. So
yeah.
What are the challenges in healthcare data that you might not see in other kinds of data?
small data labeled. Yeah, this is the main challenge in healthcare I've seen, especially in the image classification ones. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very interesting. So you have a lot of experience, and we have a lot of people asking us, how do they start in data science? What do you think it's a good place to start? And what do you think it's a good advice for a beginner to start in data science and have a good career in data science?
Whatever you're doing, love what you're doing. That's it. Start in your bedroom. Start in your living room. Just be curious. Enjoy it, and as you learn, start dreaming of what that knowledge can enable. That is my advice. Whether you use machine learning for that or
more than the hype, keep the passion. More than the hype of data science, to keep the passion for the area. And what's your advice?
In my opinion, it's very easy to fall in love with data science. People from different areas fall in love. I can see many people from the exact areas like math, physics, engineering, switching to data science area. I see some physicians like economists and from other areas coming to data science. So, but the main problem when the people try to switch to data science, there are so many sub-areas that people always ask to me, how can I start to learn? I don't know even how to start, because there are so many areas that I can even start. So I always answer, start with online course that once we can attend, like in a few months we can finish some online course, and then the best way to learn after that is try to code some solutions for some problem. And the best way is to code in a playground like Kaggle or another competition website, when you can have access to the data, you can think a solution for the problem, right? And you can code your solution. The best way to learn is coding. So if you have, and have some feedback and learn from your mistakes, from your errors, right? And after that, you find, after joining some different competitions, you find the area you feel more comfortable working on data science. Maybe this is the way you must improve your skills.
The last question is a more playful one. We call this one the wild card because it was left by the last people we've interviewed.
Yes.
So to both of you, we have a question from Pedro Bizac from Feedzac and a question from Alindo Oliveira from Technical. And I'm going to ask both of the questions. You are free to answer either one or both. And after you answer both of the questions, I will ask of you to ask another question to the next people I'll interview.
Yes.
You'll only know, and I'll only know that it's a person working in the area. So be curious, be funny if you want. It's a person working in data. So what's that one question like? I really want to see the answer. I want to see someone answer it. So Pedro asked, how to balance data privacy versus data science. He was asking specifically, for example, in the case of Facebook, that whole debacle that happened because people were using data they shouldn't be using. So how can we improve the balance between data privacy and data science? So who wants to go first?
It's a tricky question, right? Very hard to answer. Actually, data science needs data to work, right? And the data is available. But we
can do a lot of good things with that data, but also a lot of bad things with that data.
That's the problem. Data science can do both good and bad things. There are a lot of people that can do bad things with data. So, but this issue, this concern about data privacy just came a few years ago, but it was always there, right? Because our data is open to everyone, especially in social media.
People have no notion how much data they share.
Yeah, people don't have no idea what people can do with data, right? They share everything in this social network. So I think we need to have that kind of laws or some rules regarding the privacy of data for everyone. Like, I don't want my information shared to everyone. Actually, in all the websites, I try to block all the sharing of my information I have right now, but I don't like. It's my personal opinion. I don't like, right? But other people can have different opinions.
So
right?
a more open way to say I don't want to share my information.
It must be obligated.
Sites can be very tricky. I don't want to share this information, and 2 weeks later you see an ad and like, what are you doing with my info? So
I agree. I think we need to. I agree, and specifically, I agree that I believe that the way to do that is via specific laws. What we need to also address is what are the concerns of people, because empirically, people somehow maybe empirically have an imagination that people on Facebook are actually looking through their data. That is not the biggest threat. The biggest threat is how the data can be used to manipulate us and how to manipulate actually the masses in a way that maybe we individually don't feel it, but on a larger scale, it's manipulating us. An example is the experiment that Facebook did some years ago when they realized that they have an algorithm which selects what you see. Because just the flow of data is way too much, so they need to define how to do that. And of course, some experimentation was done, and what they realized is that if they filter out the good posts, only showing negative posts, the people watching it will also be influenced to post more negative things. And we don't realize how powerful such a tool is. Actually, we observed that on the last American elections, how social media can polarize people and influence people. So I think we need to go down to the core of the question of what are people concerned and for what kind of purposes the data is used. Because somebody's thinking and looking into the data, that's the least of our concerns.
The biggest of ours is how we use this data and how people are using that to do bad things, like the Cambridge Analytica crisis that was a big one. Carlito Oliveira, from a research point of view, was asking what you think is the best pathway for the generalized AI, or what Pedro Domingos would call the master algorithm, the algorithm that is able to learn all the other algorithms and to work independently. But how do you think we might arrive to that master algorithm?
I must say I'm a little bit biased because I'm reading the Superintelligence book, which actually shows different approaches to reach that. But if we talk about it, are we somehow talking about mimicking the human brain?
Or is it truly the master algorithm mimicking the human brain? Maybe it would be a different kind of intelligence. So how we might arrive to it? What do you think? Could it be more on the neural network side, more on based in statistics, more on sports vector machines?
I think with what we know right now, probably a neuron type of approach is the most promising. But again, as soon as that gets advanced enough to create the next one, might come up with a different solution. Because the solutions we have now are a little bit mimicking our biology with some key enhancements there and some key techniques to make up for the training that we naturally have inherited in us.
Yeah, I think we're far away from a master algorithm. No algorithm available right now is able to achieve that accomplishment. But if I know the path to a master algorithm, probably I will be coding it right now, thinking of patent it in the future. I have no idea. No one have idea. But
What could be the area where it might appear?
I think it's a new area. I think it's nothing related to the neural network as it's implemented right now today. Not a decision tree method. It's going to be something different, right? It's something.
It will surprise us.
Yeah, yeah, it will surprise.
So finally, I will ask you to leave a question. Be as completely crazy as you want, or as insightful as you want. What's the one thing you would ask someone in data science that you think like, I really would like to see someone answer this?
Mm-hmm. I have a question. Take into account the last World Cups, soccer World Cups. Who's going to win the next one?
That's $1 million question.
Yeah. I bet in Brazil, but I have no idea. Maybe another.
The last World Cup completely bashed all machine learning algorithms and tried to like
Yeah.
everyone's like, we're gonna predict it. No, you won't. That's a really good question.
I cannot come up with a better one for sure. But my question is more practical. What defines the threshold of trusting a human versus trusting an algorithm?
So
What defines that threshold? At which point in time?
the trust issue is a really important topic in
Absolutely.
data science.
Data science and in general, like probably if we make multiplications of 5 digits, I trust more a calculator than a human.
But if you want to make a business decision,
yes,
you will trust
let's
more
make
a
it-
human than a computer.
Let's elevate then the threshold towards a business decision. What defines that threshold that you will trust a human versus a machine?
Computer. Thank you very much to both of you. It was
Thank you.
great, our
Thank you.
little chat, and we'll see you around in our activities.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.